Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us on the program. This is Business Incorporated. I am Bosin Mofayim. The International Energy Agency says unplanned disruptions to oil production could help run down a global overhang of unused crude in 2016. The Chief Executive Officer of Regional Stock Exchange, the BRVM, speaks on the current economic state of the continent and how the exchange is attracting the U.S. and other Western investments. Plus, a bullish trading day in Europe as the Bank of England decides. Let's start from the home front, Nigeria, where the index tracking the shares of all the oil and gas companies listed on our stock exchanges in the upward trend today, the first trading day after the Nigerian government announces a guided liberalization regime for petrol or premium motor spirit. The shares of the top oil majors, Forte Oil, Total, Owando, and MRS were leading the sector, pushing the index north of 10 basis points, according to data sourced from the Bloomberg terminal at about 1 p.m. West African time. The oil and gas index was a negative 0.8% on Wednesday, with most of the bellwethers in the sector largely muted. Straight from Kigali, the Rwandan capital, the World Economic Forum for Africa 2016 enters its second day of discussions. Channels Television Businesses anchor Harriet Angui joins us now on the phone to discuss today's discussions among the delegates. Harriet, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you both.
Yes, thank you very much. Hope is all bright and good in Kigali.
Yeah, well, it's been interesting, because this conversation started yesterday, and it seems that it's reached a feverish pitch. Okay, now everybody's talking about action. It's not only about talk. What do we need to do right now to drive this fourth industrial revolution? How can we harness this fourth industrial revolution? According to President Paul Kagame, during the plenary session earlier today, he talked about Africa claiming its place at the table. Well, how can Africa claim its place at the table? It's by earning it. And so, as much as possible now, Africa should not lag behind in terms of being part of this fourth industrial revolution, so that when the fifth industrial revolution does come, Africa will not be playing catch-up. And so a lot of talk happened today. There was an action agenda for raising Africa's competitiveness, because over the past 15 years, we know that Africa has remained one of the world's fastest growing regions, which actually inspired the Africa Rising narrative. But this growth has been slowed on the back of global economic headwinds, which we know, and of course the fall in commodity prices. But then the fourth participant, it's taken beyond commodities now. Let's go beyond commodities. And how can we go beyond commodities? It's by focusing on those key critical sectors of the economy, of various economies that can grow and provide the much needed jobs and create financial inclusion, the much desired financial inclusion and social inclusion as well.
Okay, Harriet, we thank you for bringing us up to speed. What's the discussions been for the second trading day? I appreciate that from Kigali in Rwanda. Let's get to the UK, where the Brexit is dominating the agenda, and the Bank of England is set to update his take on how the vote is affecting the economy. With just 6 weeks to go until Britain's referendum on this European Union membership, rate setters led by Governor Mark Carney have already warned uncertainty may be weighing on growth. Market Economics said last week that Brexit jitters are taking a toll on demands as its gauge of services, the biggest part of the economy, fell to its lowest level in more than 3 years. That was last month. So the European markets are moving higher today. Oil prices also trading higher when the International Energy Agency says demand could grow towards the end of the year, spiking prices above $46 a barrel. Let's go to the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. DWTV financial correspondent for Channels Television, Ulrich Bartz, is joining us live from the exchange. Good afternoon, Ulrich. Welcome to the program. Let's start from the European markets, all in the green today, led largely by crude oil prices. How much of this could be attributable to the statement from the International Energy Agency?
Yeah, I think a major part is attributable to that. The oil price recovery there is quite pronounced, and the investors are happy over that. Of course, it's not guaranteed that if the oil price goes down, the markets stay where they are right now. That's the downside to that. But, excuse me, another factor contributing is the euro, which is going down. That's bad news for anyone vacationing perhaps in Africa, Nigeria, or perhaps in the United States. But it's good news for exporters here in the Eurozone, and Germany especially, because it makes their products more saleable, and it turns profits automatically higher when they get repatriated on the way back into the domestic balance sheet. Those are factors, I think, also playing a role a little bit in the background today, but also supporting that huge Chinese infrastructure investment plan for the next 3 years. China plans to invest over $700 billion into the economy, into the transport infrastructure. That should benefit lots of companies, also Western countries.
Yes, let's cross to Asia, Ulrich, shall we? Mitsubishi, the automaker, got in some hot waters, and suddenly Nissan, a rival auto company, comes out with $2 billion in investment. How is this story being commented on in Frankfurt today?
That's being seen as a positive, good news for Mitsubishi, everyone says, seeing the condition of the company at the moment. And for Renault, it could also work out. Renault and Nissan, who are going into this, Nissan is officially taking this 34% stake for over $2 billion. But of course, Nissan is basically controlled by Renault. And Renault's CEO, Carlos Ghosn, says that it's a win-win situation for both sides. They will be utilizing the synergy effects for technology, for purchasing, for example, but they will also be using synergies in their market situation, of course. Nissan will profit from small car competence that Mitsubishi brings into this alliance.
Okay, let's do some sporting talks. The sporting goods Adidas has some great news for investors. Says its 2016 profit target will be a lot more higher. That's have to do with what you wear on the track. It's all about the product. What's responsible for this? What's the outlook for this statement, forward-looking statement from this sporting goods company?
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny reasoning behind it, or a bit of a funny source. Adidas was well on its way anyways, but now it says that it terminated a sponsorship program with Chelsea, the football club in London. And because it wasn't Adidas who terminated, but I guess Chelsea, they're paying millions and millions for terminating it before the maturity date, and that's going into the balance sheet, so investors can be happy. Of course, one asks, what are the long-term effects of no longer having such a high-profile partner? Of course, Adidas has others, like Bayern Munich, for example, here, the leading football club in Germany. But investors happy about that. They should be really happy about Adidas anyways, because it's the best performing share so far of the year, plus 26% since January. And since its low last year in August, the share price has almost doubled. So with this news, that's more icing on the cake, but the cake is pretty tasty as well if you're an Adidas shareholder.
Ulrich, aren't investors always happy when they hear some good size of millions of dollars coming to the table? They're always happy there's more money on the table. There's something coming to them. That's why they're investors anyway, aren't they? Yes. Ulrich.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question properly, I think.
Yes, I said investors are always happy when there is more money on the table. They're always happy.
Yes.
It makes everybody happy.
That's right.
Yes.
I would be too.
Yeah, you will be. You will be too if you see more money on the table. Thank you, Ulrich Batz from Frankfurt Stock Exchange, GWTV financial correspondent for us. The only regional stock exchange in Africa is the BRVM, based in Abidjan. Is the home for the 8 French-speaking countries on the western part of the continent. An exclusive interview, about 5 minutes in New York, with the chief executive officer from Gilles Malandrino, Voice of VOA's correspondent for Channels Television, is coming next after the break. Don't miss it.